Well, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to our study of Proverbs, where we're looking at the Lord. We've seen who He is, the all powerful God who can see the depth of our hearts. And so we, in return, are called not only to do the right thing, but to desire it as well. Right inclinations that leads to right actions. More or less, that's what we've been seeing to this point. Well, as we jump to chapter 22, with a bit of chapter 23, we're going to see way more focus on what we do and the way to live a wise way before this God we've discovered in the last couple of chapters. We're going to go chronologically this time around. We're just going to focus from the first verse to the last one, and jump in chapter 23, the same thing, to see the flow of it all. How is the author presenting to us the way we need to live in a wise and appropriate way before this great God? And so we begin in verse 2 that says, "The rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all." Now, right away, you'd say, didn't we read this one? Yes and no. Last time around, we saw that the poor and the oppressor. And the idea was mostly focused on how God's in control, even of the oppressor that makes the other guy poor. But this time around, it's about equality. Rich or poor, we're both equal before God, both made in His image. It's this notion of equality, and therefore treating everybody with respect that will kind of lead us through the rest of the chapter. So, we're all the same, rich or poor, sick or healthy, all the same before the Lord. Keeping that in mind, of course, there is a way to behave. The reward for humility and the fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. Now, what's interesting is this little "and" is not in the original. The way it's presented, it's more that humility is therefore the fear of the Lord, or the fear, the reverence of the Lord will naturally bring us to humility. Rich or poor, as we saw, we're all just created in His image. We are all nothing before such a great God as Him. That kind of humility, that kind of humbleness that bows down, which is what the word humility actually means, to be bowed down. Well, that has a reward. Is it really riches and honor in life? Well, it seems to be repetition, using synonyms to speak about how God will bless, and using things that were very recognizable back then in the first covenant, riches or long life. So I don't think it's literally you will get these things, but more that God will provide and bless you. And He's presenting things that really speak to His audience: riches, honor, and long life. But the idea is still, in your humility, before such a God, you'll be blessed. Now take note how you don't do anything. There are proverbs that say to be wise and diligent with your money, and you'll be blessed by that. You'll succeed. But here it's not about what you do. You're just bowing down, recognizing God as greatness, and God in His sovereign care will give you all these things. It's keeping this notion of you doing nothing that will lead us to the next one. It says, "The eyes of the Lord keep watch over knowledge, but He overthrows the word of the traitor." Now, this is more of those comparison that's not one-on-one, not an exact comparison or contrast. Because he talks about a thing, knowledge, and then a person, traitor. He talks about the whole notion of knowledge, but then he specifically speaks of the words of the traitor. Still, it is a contrast. We see that the Lord either keeps, He keeps watch over, or He overthrows, actively cares for and blesses, or rejects and destroys. So it seems to point to the fact that on one side, you have the person that will live out in wisdom, and God will bless and care for that, as we've seen over and over again. Or you don't just speak in a lying way, but you live in a lying, sinful way, and God will be against you. That too we've seen over and over again. I believe it's just another way of saying God will bless those who live in knowledge, but he'll be against and curse those who don't. And actively is the point here. It is an active effort of God to be against those words of a traitor, of a liar, of a manipulator. He's actively against those who live against his will. And he will continue to lead us now as he says, the mouth of the forbidden women is a deep pit. He, with whom the Lord is angry, will fall into it. Putting the emphasis on because the Lord will make sure he falls into it. Which is interesting because the flow should be this forbidden woman, this adulterous woman, which leads you to death, as we see in the first few chapters. Her house literally leads to death. Well, this will happen for those who live in a foolish way. But here it's those the Lord are angry with. He will actively push you into her hands and she'll drag you into the pit. But don't miss, it's those he's angry with. Again, it's a veil way, like the one we just saw, of speaking of those who are living in a way that's contrary to God's wisdom and commandments and will. Still on this reality that God is opposing those who live contrary to his will, contrary to wisdom, we then read this double verse. Do not rob the poor, because he is poor, or crush the afflicted at the gate. For the Lord will plead their cause and rob of life those who rob them. Don't miss this repetition of robbing and crushing. This notion of the evil that they're doing and how it'll literally come back against them. They rob and they'll be robbed of life. Those who rob. It really shows how they're evil deeds. And again, God will actively oppose them. Now they do this because the person is poor, which kind of finishes up the loop of chapter 22. It finishes up this notion because we started with how both the poor and the rich are both equal before God. But for some rich, the poor is weaker. He is less of a person. God doesn't care about him. I'm going to steal because he's poor, because nobody cares about him. God cares. When it talks about him pleading, it's not saying, oh, please don't hurt him. It really is a sense that, again, it's imagery, just like the words of the traitor. It's an imagery to show that God will actively oppose you. Again, he'll rob your life. We saw that humility and the fear of the Lord will bring life. But if you don't have that, if you think you can abuse everybody, especially the poor, God's going to take your life. And the same thing can be seen when we jump to chapter 23. And we read this. Do not move an ancient landmark or enter the fields of the fatherless. For the Redeemer is strong, their Redeemer. He will plead their cause against you. The landmarks are very important because Israel was really about land. Each clan or family had a specific plot of land given by God. They couldn't go beyond it. It was there. Each family had theirs. You couldn't push it. You couldn't try to get some of the other guy to get a bigger land. I'm more important. I'm succeeding more. I should have more land. No. Don't take the land. It is of God. It was a gift of God. So don't go taking it. So when he adds to that, to enter the field of the fatherless, it's not just walking into it, it's going so you can take it. They're fatherless. The father and husband maybe even died, and the woman can't inherit anything. The children are still too young to fight back, so you just take that land too. Don't do that. Do not do this evil of oppressing the weak, as we saw in the last one, because they have a redeemer. One who can buy them back. One who will actively act against them. And the fact that he says that he pleads their cause sounds a lot like what we just saw in chapter 22. That was the Lord. He is their ultimate redeemer. Not just a human person that could fight for them, but God Almighty will fight for them. This is important to see just how God is active against these evildoers. Because then he comes back around in chapter 23 and he adds this little note. Let not your heart envy sinners, but continue in the fear of the Lord all the day. Surely there's a future, and your hope will not be cut off. It is tempting, like Asaph, to see the evil prosper and think, maybe I should be like them. He's oppressing the poor, and nothing's happening. He pushed the landmarks. He took some land from somebody else. Nobody did anything. It's tempting to say, maybe I should do it like them, to be envious, to want that. Don't. Continue in that fear. That same fear we saw in chapter 22, huh? That humility and fear that will truly bless you. Continue in that. Even if you're not seeing the Lord actively be against the enemies, as we see even nowadays. And it's tempting to say, maybe God's not in control. Maybe God doesn't want to stop this. Don't. Because it's all about the future, right? Surely there is a future. We always forget that God's plan is so much bigger than now, or a week from now, or even 10 years from now. His plan is eternal. Some, they'll see that judgment only at the end, only when they're before him. But there will be one. And again, when he mentions not to be cut off from the land of Israel, cut off from being part of God's people, cut off from his presence for all eternity. Continue in that fear. Keep that focus. Don't lose your eyes on what matters, this future. And it's important for us to hear it because we are seeing so much evil happening and succeeding in evil and oppressing against everything that is of faith and morality and goodness. It's ending to want to kind of bow down a bit, kind of let things slide a bit. Don't do that, because God then will be against you. What can man do to you? God will be against you. Don't do that. Don't miss it, huh? All the day, every day. Every day we ask the Lord, keep us from temptation. Every day we say, deliver us from the evil one and give us this daily bread. Give us what I need today to make it in humble submission and obedience to you, Lord, because of the evil all around me that seems to be succeeding. This we need to hear even today, brothers and sisters. Be blessed.